Hello everybody, it's me, remember? GhostCritic. Yes, I'm back after my month sabbatical. I've had my summer holiday and had a bit of a break, a bit of a rest, recharged my batteries, and now I'm back again. And I just thought to kick things off, I'd do a update of my comic book haul because my pull list. I haven't done one in about 3 years, so it was interesting to look and see exactly how many comics I'm getting a month, and also the kind of the array of publishing houses that I'm getting them from right now. And there were a couple of surprises, it has to be said. Before I kick off with that, just to say there's going to be a slight change to how I'm putting videos out from a month ago. Sunday used to be a comic book review video. I'm moving that on a day, just so I can have the whole weekend to myself, because I kind of feel like I'm rushing home on a Sunday to get the comic book review video done, edited and uploaded, and it just gives me that extra little bit of time. So from now on, Monday is comic book review day. I'll be reviewing and giving my thoughts and opinions of all the comics that came out the previous week. Wednesday is still new comic book day because you love those. And Friday will be a kind of anything goes kind of day. You will get comic book hauls, you will get collection videos. I might even start kind of opinion pieces because there are a lot of opinionated people out there, and I feel like my voice should be out there too. Maybe perhaps giving an alternate view than what is out there right now. Who knows? We'll see as we go along. So not much is changing. It kind of works already, so why fix something that doesn't generally break down a lot? As I said, this is going to be a video showing everything that I've got on my pull list, and I've put them in kind of 4 segments. The first segment is books that have just recently finished, so we obviously won't be seeing them again. There's the second pile of comics that I know are about to end. The third pile is books that I feel like should be ending soon, but I am not. I've not done my research so well on it to know whether that is true or not. If you feel or have any knowledge of those books that are ending, or if they're continuing, then please in the comment section down below let me know. And then there is the fourth pile, which is the comics that seem to be going on forever and ever. So I hope you will enjoy this first video back from my self-imposed hiatus, and let's kick off with those books that have generally just finished, but 2 of them I have actually yet to read because I've been a busy boy. And I'm going to kick it off with the last issue of Jeff Lemire's sci-fi issue run series Descender, finished with issue 32. I think that came out just this week gone by. I've yet to read it yet, but it was a great sci-fi book. I really enjoyed this with Dustin Nguyen's artwork. The other one that's finished, and again it's another Jeff Lemire book, it's Royal City. Not read this yet. I'm kind of putting off these last issues because certainly those 2 books I have really enjoyed, and kind of sad to see them go. But that's what it is with Jeff Lemire. He will tell a story. He has a start, a middle and an end kind of in mind. He knows when he's done enough, which most, if not a lot of comic book writers don't know when to stop and will just continue on going with it. But Jeff Lemire is one of those writers that knows when to stop. Also, I mean, this has kind of stopped, but it's going to go into a different format, is Lazarus, Greg Rucka and Michael Lark. This finished with issue 28. but is coming back in a kind of larger format. I think it's going to come out every 2 months, I think. There's going to be a lot more pages, a lot more back matter, a lot more essays, a lot more comic book pages. Not quite a graphic novel like the likes of Astro City's Kurt Busiek is doing that with his Astro City. Now, I don't know whether I'll pick that up or not. I'm not sure yet. I will see how it looks with the first issue and whether it's going to be worth, because it's obviously going to be a lot more pricier because it's going to be a thicker issue with obviously a lot more pages, so we'll see. So those are the 3 books that I know I've kind of definitely finished. The next pile I know they are finishing, so we'll start with Colin Bunn's X-Men Blue. I think this goes to about issue 35 or 36 and then we're done. I believe there are some more X-Men titles, new ones coming out very soon. I'm trying to remember who was heading them. I know Humberto Ramos is drawing and doing the art on one of them. I think that's something like X-Men Unclassified or something like that. But this has been fun for the duration it's been. It's certainly changed towards the end and not been so much about the time displaced teenagers and bringing in other characters that we all know and love. But it's going to be interesting to see how Colin Bunn closes this chapter of the teenage versions of X-Men, whether they're going to go back to their original timeline and whether there may be some of them will stay. Maybe they'll all stay. Colin Bunn might find some way of doing that. Black Science, I believe, is coming up to its last story arc. Rick Remender, Matteo Scalera and Marina Dionisio. Fantastic book, beautiful to look at, and has just been a great storyline. Remender has been able to kind of go that line from super adventure, exciting, you know, lots of movement, to some very soft, emotional, heart-rending at times episodes of this book, and I've really appreciated that. Great stuff. Wes Craig of Deadly Class fame with his Gravediggers Union. This, I think, is ending in the next issue, which was a shame because I kind of liked this working class BPRD-esque type supernatural tale of a world that has kind of been almost overrun by like vampires and ghosts and zombies, and you have these teams of grave diggers that are kind of pushing back, and then we've got this idea of an alien chimp that's going to bring about and open the portal of hell and all that kind of stuff, and in that you have this this father-daughter relationship, both at opposing ends of the idea of whether we want to see the end of the world. But I believe one more issue of this to go, so it's certainly on its way out. And I loved this book, but it is, I believe, only a 6-issue mini-series. The Highest House by Mike Carey and Peter Gross. Just beautifully written, beautifully drawn, really evokes that kind of fantasy genre that kind of mixes kind of almost kind of, it feels historical, but throwing in the magic in there as well, which is nice, and a little bit of kind of supernatural, perhaps demonic energies into the mix as well. But this kind of oversized, kind of magazine-sized book has just been a joy to read, and I'm going to be quite sad to see that go. Again, another one of those books that isn't actually going away for good, but it's taking a lengthy time to come back, and we're talking about Saga. Michael K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples' Saga. This has kind of ended in a huge cliffhanger. with this issue, and is not going to be back apparently for at least a year. So to all intents and purposes, this is ended, and on quite, like I say, quite a cliffhanger. Hopefully they're going away to figure out how they're going to end this, because it does kind of feel like, does Michael Gay Vaughan really know what he wants to do with this? Are we going to get another 50 odd issues? It's a saga. It's meant to go over the ages, the generations. We will see. It's been enjoyable. I don't think it's ever met the heights of, say, the first probably 20 or 30 issues, but it's been always a solid read. But it's goodbye to Saga for the time being. Now the next set of books, I believe I've read maybe somewhere that they could be ending, or they're on their last story arc, whatever. But as I said at the top of the video, just let me know if you know anything about these issues and their, I guess, their longevity, especially for my pull list. We're kicking off with East of West, issue 38. One of those books that I feel like should be ending. It sounds strange because it's such a great book by Hickman, Dragotta and Martin on art. It's been a fantastic ride from its kind of slow world building beginnings to the kind of evil machinations of all these states in this kind of post-apocalyptic, almost Western, you know, kind of cowboys and Indians-esque type environment universe that Hickman has created with his fellow creative team. Really enjoyed it, but I feel like it should, even if it's not going to, I feel it should come to an end now. We have reached a climax now, and we just need that finality of it all, I guess. I really don't know what is going on with the next book. It comes out incredibly sporadically, despite the fact that when it does come out, it is fantastic, but we have to wait a long time for it. So I don't know what's happening with Hickman's Black Monday Murders, but with every issue that comes out, it is amazing. It's always my pick of the week. I'm remembering, but it just comes out so infrequently that you just feel like, has this book ended? Did I miss the memo? I don't know. Another one that I feel like should come to an end, and again, perhaps now he's having a year break of Saga, he might get to wrapping this up. It's Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chang's Paper Girls. As much, again, as I enjoy this, it's very much a a character-rich story rather than a particularly rich storyline. It feels like this is starting to run out of steam, and it needs to start wrapping things up, answering questions, and putting a full stop at the end of them, and not raising any more. Let's get our Paper Girls back to their original time in the 80s, and delivering all their papers, because, you know, they've probably missed a couple of weeks by now. Again, another book that feels like it should be coming to an end. I think it's one of those stories that I think it's told its tale, especially about this particular character. I think the universe is big enough to tell other tales with other characters in it, but I'm talking about Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda's Monstrous, and we're currently up to issue 18, which quite frankly I'm surprised at. I don't know many people who are reading this, but it is, one, gorgeous to look at, two, there is a solid story in there, and I like the kind of or what's it called? I want to say punk. I've forgotten what the phrase is. It'll come to me. But we have this kind of fantasy concept. Steampunk. That's what I was thinking of. It's kind of got this steampunk aesthetic to it, which I really enjoy as well. It feels a little bit Games of Thronesy, because there are all these different factions and families and I guess species as well, all living kind of in the one fantasy universe, and keeping track of them all is a little bit of a task and a half at times. Again, it's one of those books that likes to take hiatus here and there, but when you get it back, I mean, especially the artwork is top notch. I can't fault the Son of Takeda's gloriously detailed and evocative pages within this, but really love it. Matt Kint's Exo Man of War. I know we've kind of gone down this kind of flashback storyline, I guess a version of Arik from times past, with this whole there's a Harbinger War 2 going on in the Valiant universe, and that's where our kind of present day Arik is getting involved in, which is why we now have this. I wonder if when that's all finished and we go back to our present day Arik in this book, that we're going to come to a kind of finale for this title. I've loved the artwork leading up to maybe the last few issues, because it's gone kind of from that gorgeous painted art style to more of your regular comic book art, penciled and inked and that kind of art style, which has been nice as it was, but we kind of got treated to some gorgeous art right at the start, so I'd like to have seen flow all the way through. Finally, for this pile, I really don't know what's going on with this title, given that there is a certain team coming back, but this is Chip Sidarsky's Marvel 2-in-1 with the Thing and the Human Torch. This story is clearly paving the way for next month's reintroduction of the Fantastic Four, new title coming out from Marvel from them. I guess the title could go on with two different people. It has done in the past, or whether this will just end and maybe we'll get a different iteration somewhere down the line. But it's been fun. I've loved Chip Sidarsky's voice in this, and these two who have always been, you know, obviously the firm friends, but always kind of at odds and jibing at each other. The relationship between Johnny and Ben Grimm, always great. Now, obviously the last pile is all the stuff that is ongoing. We see no ending in sight as far as I know. Again, if you know different, warn me. And this is the kind of surprise that one of the surprises I found out as I was kind of bringing all my comic books together, was that as it stands right now, I have one DC book on my pull list, and that is of course The Flash by Joshua Williamson. He's doing a grand old job over there. It kind of feels very reminiscent of Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run, where he kind of introduced all the ring colours. Now Joshua Williamson is doing somewhat similar things with the forces. Now we've obviously got the Speed Force, now there's a Strength Force, a Sage Force. There's all sorts of forces going on now, which clearly Joshua Williamson is going to be developing over the next how many years, I'm guessing. But I really actually am enjoying this now that we're kind of at the end of Flash War, which was a lot of fun, have to say, because I've been away for a while. I've not had a chance to comment on this. I don't know whether it's just this book that is using this new stock of paper. It feels more papery than it does kind of glossy, and I really like it. Some people don't think the colours pop out so much now or on the Flash, but I actually feel like it does all the more. It doesn't have that sheen on it from the glossy paper, so I guess the colorist and the artist have to really ensure that these colours pop, and I think they're doing a great job. But of all the DC titles I've had, this has stuck, so it's doing something right. Doctor Strange, it may have started a new run with a new issue 1 a few months ago. We're up to issue 3 at the moment, but we've got Mark Waid on the book now. I'm kind of divided still on Jesus Sayer's artwork on this. I've said before, I either really like what he does, or I'm kind of really on the fence about it, whether I like it or not. I never dislike it, let's put it that way, but I think there are certain books that lend to his artwork more than others, and I just feel he has to prove that he's not worthy of this book, but his style suits the book. I feel like this should have been on the last pile, because I just feel that not a lot of people are reading Moon Knight, despite the fact that I think they should. And Moon Knight has always kind of been one of those characters that doesn't necessarily have a good, a lengthy, not a good, a lengthy run at any point. Yes, I know it says issue 197 here, but we all know that's the Marvel Legacy renumbering, which they've mostly done away with a lot of their titles again anyway. That didn't last long, but again, it's one of those titles I don't really hear a lot of people talking about. So whether this is really doing well, I would guess it's not going to last very long, which is unfortunate, because I do really enjoy the character of Moon Knight, and certainly especially how he has progressed over the years. Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Spectacular from Chip Sidarsky. I would presume that this is going to go on for some time. This always kind of, in the past, where in other iterations and volumes of this book, it's kind of always been the kind of third tier book, I'd say, of the Spider-Man universe, where they had the chance to do some not necessarily kooky storylines, but they weren't these kind of huge bombastic blockbuster types that you would obviously get with Amazing Spider-Man, which you will see later on. Spoiler. But yeah, they can tell stories with characters that are not so much your A-tier variety, and we can see some smaller adventures. I don't know whether that's kind of worked so far with Chip Sidarsky, because he obviously wants to put his stamp on this character. But I've enjoyed it nonetheless. There's been some time travelling nonsense going on as well, which has been fun, and some characters like the Tinkerer that we don't often see, and different versions of characters. Certainly saw it in the last storyline with when they went back in time to avert or get information from the Tinkerer to avoid the alien invasion that is currently happening. But good stuff. Daredevil, can't really see that going anywhere very soon. Currently Charles Soule is writing this with his Mayor Fisk storyline, with now Matt Murdock being the Mayor of New York City, and the complications that arises with him also being Daredevil. And of course we've got the whole Hand in there at the moment, and the Beast causing lots of problems, but fun. Charles Soule, with his law background, he loves to do all the courtroom scenes, make it all very legal, and he knows what he's talking about, and he tries to portray that in the book. Sometimes I think he leans too far on that side rather than punching out with the action, but he kind of draws me back very quickly. He realised, I think he does realise at times that, oh, I've probably gone a little bit too far this side. I need to give them what they actually want, which is a lot of action. We want some fighting, we want some you know, villains and heroes hitting each other. This book is actually going back to a #1. You could say this was finishing, but it's just going back to an issue 1 for the next run. Still written by Rosenberg, which is good because he's made Punisher back to what I wanted him to be. This storyline that finished off this month with the War Machine armour, fantastic. Loved every page of it. I'm looking forward to seeing now what Rosenberg will do with him out of that armour and back on the streets, bringing down those street level mafia gangs and villains, but that's clearly not going anywhere. This is one I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with. It's written by the same writer as doing The Punisher, Matthew Rosenberg. It's Astonishing X-Men issue 13. I always thought this was a maxi series and would have ended at issue 12, but we've got a new team now, pretty much, a new look with Greg Land on art. But we shall see. I'm going to give it a few issues. Let's see how it goes. The first issue was fun. Nothing spectacular that has grabbed me so far, but I'm willing to just give him a little chance. But let's hope it follows the same lead as the first 12 issues, where we get a different artist with each issue, because I don't want a lot of Greg Land. Oh no. I love a good team book, and I was glad to jump back on with a new Avengers title. This has been a great storyline. Huge movie blockbuster type affair with all these Celestials. We've got Loki as the bad guy with the final host, kind of dipping into what we saw right at the beginning. We had that kind of one shot, can't remember what it was called now, but we had elements of this story in that, going way back, when I think when they went back to the original renumbering legacy numbers, we had a little one shot and had tidbits of what we're going to see in the Marvel universe, which we're now really only just seeing now. But over the top, full on comic book action, very fun, very exciting, very entertaining, and it's what I want out of an Avengers book. It doesn't take itself incredibly seriously, which I think is the line that Marvel has to go. Let's stop making it all so serious and kind of reflecting real life. It's not what I'm into comics for. I want to be taken away from that, if only for a brief 20 or so pages these days. Finally, for Marvel, yes, I had to. I'm going to be picking up The Amazing Spider-Man again. I so loved the first issue. I have read this again. Nick Spencer with Ryan Otley of Invincible fame on art, which is great, has captured the feel of the style of Spider-Man. It does really feel like we've kind of gone back to an almost golden age of Spider-Man, when we were all picking it up, we all really enjoyed it. It's fun, it's throwing in all those great kind of Spider-Man villains, and you can just feel that these creators are having a blast with it. And this is only the second issue. We're going to get so much more of this, I'm sure, and I'm glad I jumped on board for this. Final 3 books are from Image. Stray Bullets, David Lapham doesn't seem to be going anywhere. That's all I can really say about that. The fantastic Gideon Falls, issue 5 from Jeff Lemire, just doing great job time and time again. And finally, Rick Remender, Deadly Class. This doesn't feel like it's ending anytime soon, although this kind of story arc is wrapping things up, perhaps for the next semester, the next storyline. We shall see. So that is my current comic book pull list. So I should have known that I would run over long with this first video back after my hiatus, and my camera did just run out at the end of that video. So new ending to the video, just to say couple, well, one edition. The Flash wasn't actually the only DC book I'm actually picking up. There was one more. It is on the pile of, it is obviously ending because it's a 12-issue maxi series, and that is Tom King and Mitch Gerads' Mr. Miracle. I believe issue 10 is out this coming week, which means there's only 2 more issues of that to go. Great to look at. I think it will be better read as a whole rather than in these monthly installments, because there's a lot going on and I probably miss a lot on this, but it's still a great read. As I said, it's beautiful to look at. Mitch Gerard ruling the 9 panel grid with this book, but love it nonetheless. And now obviously a lot of books have gone, a lot of books are going. What am I filling these with, if anything? Because I'm kind of, not so much culling my books, but being a little bit more careful about what I'm picking up, because money, and there will be a time when I'm going to need more in my wallet rather than in all these long boxes behind me. However, there is the return of the Fantastic Four this month, coming month of August, so I'm definitely going to be picking that up. And also there's the reintroduction to the DC, I guess, Vertigo universe of the Sandman. I will at least be picking up the first issue of every single spin-off from that, and then I will decide which ones I want to keep, if not all of them. So they will certainly fill in the spaces that the books that are finished or about to finish have left behind. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you on Wednesday with a brand new comic book day video where you can see what books I've got on my pull list for the first week of August. As always, thank you all for watching. Give this video a big thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a video, and I will see you very soon. It's great to be back, and I hope to see you all joining in once again and sticking around with me. Great stuff. Bye bye.